The Bard is the first class that we're introduced to in this second Arcana of OneD&D. The Bard hasn't changed much in terms of that it's still relevant to using the primary ability of Charisma, still invokes magic through music, dance, and verse. I really like the words here, harnessing the words of creation to bring forth magic. That's really what sets it apart from the other spellcasters. You could do that by gathering lore, telling stories, living on a multitude of audiences. It doesn't have to be music. It's basically you are a traveler, you experience stories, you experience these different forms of art, and you transform that into magic. That's the concept of Bard. If you haven't seen the Bard before, it's existed for a very, very long time, and the original copy of the Bard from the original Player's Handbook is over on the right side. So I'm going to scroll through this and compare. Now, delving into the Bard, we can look at the leveling chart and see a lot of things right off the bat. So this is levels 1 to 20. Proficiency bonus obviously hasn't changed. Bardic die size hasn't changed. Cantrip number and number of spells per level hasn't changed. Now on this chart, you're going to see this little, you're going to see Wiv in the corner over here with his little chart. For this one, anything new or significantly new is going to be in green. Anything that has been moved from a higher level to a lower level, meaning you get it earlier now, is going to be in blue. And anything moved to a later level is going to be colored orange. Simple thing right off the bat. First things first, expertise comes in at level 2 instead of level 3, which is kind of interesting. Expertise, the feature hasn't changed at all. You can turn one of your skill proficiencies into expertise. Songs of Restoration is an entirely new ability, which means Song of Rest is entirely gone. So this ability down here, Song of Rest, where is it? I'm going to scroll all the way down here. This ability entirely gone. I'm gonna turn it red. Gone. Kaput. Kaput. And we don't have to worry about it till later. Bard subclass obviously comes in a third. Feat at 4. Makes sense. Makes sense. There's going to be some feats that you can only take at level 4 or higher. That's going to be in another video. Jack of all trades, originally at level 5, originally at level 2, now comes in at level 5, a little bit later. This is to make room for Songs of Restoration feature, supposedly. This is a pretty big level that you get Jack of all trades, a D8, Bardic die, 3rd level spells, significant. 6th level subclass feature, standard. Font of Bardic Inspiration. This is the ability that allows you to use Bardic Inspirations or regain Bardic Inspirations on a short rest. That's been moved from level 5 originally. This moved from level 5 to level 7. So you do get that a little bit later, which is unfortunate. I feel like getting it at level 5 was a really great feature to get at that level. Counter Charm, this ability, entirely gone. It's gone. Nobody ever used Counter Charm. They realized it wasn't worth salvaging and they just threw it out. That's basically what's left of that. 8th level feat, makes sense. Expertise comes in a little bit earlier. It used to come in at 10th level, but now it comes in at 9th level, which is a little bit earlier, but you know, that's cool. New thing, subclass feature. Originally, the Bard only got subclass features at level 3, 6, and 14, and there was a huge gap between getting anything else from your subclass. Now there's a proper subclass feature at level 10. It matches other subclasses, or it matches other classes when they get their subclass feature, giving you a total of 4 abilities over the course of your adventuring career. Magical secrets, very, very different. Usually you used to get this at level 10. You could choose any 2 spells from wherever you want, which was wonderful. It's changed quite a bit, but you do get this a level later now that there's a subclass feature at level 10. 12 feet, totally normal. 13, normal. 14, your final capstone for your subclass, normal. Further magical secrets coming in at level 14. Used to come in at level 14, now comes in level 15, so a little bit later. That's when you get your D12. Your original capstone that you used to get at level 20, so that was Superior Inspiration, which was Garbaggio. You now get at level 18th, and it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. 19th level feat, obviously. 20th level epic boon. These are the epic boons from the DMG. Probably something you will not have to care about, but it is further down in this doc if you want to check it out. Otherwise, the Bard is mostly normal. Most of these abilities are pretty reminiscent of what it used to be, so the Bard overall wasn't changed too much, but where it was changed is a big deal. Let's talk about creating a Bard. Things haven't really changed. 1d8 Bard level Hit points per first level, totally normal. All of this exactly the same. Dex, Charisma, saving throws, normal. Any 3 skills of your choice. They recommend Deception, Performance, Persuasion if you want to be a stereotypical bard. But you can truly pick any 3 skills of your choice, which is exactly like what it used to be. I'm going to put that over here. Let's zoom in a little bit because we can do that. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Help your eyes just a little bit. The only thing that's changed in the proficiencies you get is your weapons. If you go to weapons over here, you used to get hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords, and none of that is available anymore. You only know simple weapons. I'm assuming they're saving the martial weapons for the College of Valor when they release that, but at base, you no longer have access to these weapons. That's the only major change in proficiencies. Armor training, exactly the same. You only have light armor. Starting equipment, basically exactly the same. This is the new system they're putting into OneD&D where they just give you 100 gold in equipment, and this leftover gold over here is basically what you get if you get all of these things from the store. This is how much money you'd have left over. Truly, you could build this with the original equipment from the original Bard, and that's perfectly fine. Multi-classing hasn't changed much. Again, you need a 13 in Charisma, perfectly normal. Proficiencies over here, I don't believe this has changed at all. You get 1 skill of your choice and 1 musical instrument of your choice. If anything has changed, let me know, but I don't think anything has. Armor training, light armor is exactly the same. Spell slots exactly the same. All of this boring stuff out of the way. Let's talk about some real stuff here. First feature for bards is Bardic Inspiration. Everybody knows, everybody loves Bardic Inspiration. Get it at a D6, perfectly normal. Everything seems fine so far. You can use it in the following ways. Boost a D20 test. If you remember, a D20 test from the first OneD&D document is an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check. Now, the original Bardic Inspiration, let me roll that down over here. The original Bardic Inspiration is a bonus action. Use a bonus action. It's like a little gift you give to your friend, and you let them hold on to this Bardic Inspiration for 10 minutes. And in that 10-minute time, they can use that Bardic Inspiration whenever they want without requiring any sort of action economy. Now, within 60 feet of you, if you see or hear somebody fail a D20 test, you can use your reaction to give the creature a Bardic Inspiration die. No longer a bonus action, it's a reaction now. The creature rolls that die and adds the number rolled to a D20, potentially turning the failure into success. So let's talk about real quick what that means. Basically, there's no more pre-prepping Bardic Inspirations. You can't go right before the battle, hey, everybody get a Bardic Inspiration, let's jump into battle. No longer prepping that. But now, you can protect somebody faster, so to speak. It's kind of like the Flash of Genius Artificer is the best way to look at it. You give somebody a bonus to their D20 test, which is an attack roll, ability check, saving throw, and hopefully save them. Is it better? Debatable. It's not flat out better or worse, because there's obviously merits to using a bonus action Bardic Inspiration. In fact, the Bard doesn't really have anything to use their bonus action for anymore, now that the Bardic Inspiration has moved to the reaction. But I can think of plenty of things that could use a reaction, which is Counterspell is huge, Silvery Barbs is a spell that still exists. There are many uses for reaction that the Bard might not want to spend their Bardic Inspiration to do. I personally like pre-prepping all of the Bardic Inspirations in the battle and just giving them all out right before the fight. It feels right to me, but you know, this is also a route that you can go. I don't think it's strictly better. I actually personally think it's a little bit worse, but you know, let's not dwell on it. This is a really cool feature. Now you can heal. Immediately after another creature within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear takes damage, you can use a reaction to roll your Bardic Inspiration die and restore a number of hit points to the creature equal to the number rolled. Now, the clear use of this one is that if your friend gets knocked down to 0, if your friend gets knocked down to 0 hit points from any attack and takes any damage from a fireball or a spell or anything like that, you can immediately reaction heal them. They're right back up. No time wasted, right? Hey, new subscriber. Who's that? This is pretty useful for when a friend drops. This is because it doesn't matter how much damage they take, because if they get knocked down to 0, your heal comes out after they take the damage, which is pretty darn useful. You could not do this before. Previously, I believe there was a Tasha's ability where you could configure your Bardic Inspiration to heal. I don't know. It wasn't quite the same. It wasn't quite as useful as this. This is a reaction heal, which is really good at picking people up if you don't want to spend time wasting a spell slot or spending your own actual turn picking somebody up. This is a real quick, hey, you're only taking 1 hit, you're back up. Let's keep going. I like this ability. I think it's very useful. Number of uses hasn't changed. At higher levels, the scaling hasn't changed. All of that is exactly the same. So this is really a kind of point of preference, whether you like the reaction or the bonus action. Personally, I like the bonus action, but I can see why the reaction would be useful. Now, let's go to level 1. We're still at level 1. Spellcasting. Now, this is a big deal. All right, I'm going to dwell on this for a little bit. First of all, bards, no longer known casters. Maybe known casters don't even exist anymore. We don't know for sure. But now the bard is a prepared spell caster. What does that mean? That means that you could prepare any spells you want at the start of the day, as long as it fits these prerequisites. Any spell you prepare for this class must be an arcane spell, and it must be one of the following schools of magic: divination, enchantment, illusion, or transmutation. Again, if you remember, there are 3 spell lists: arcane, primal, and divine, I think. The bard only has access to the arcane spell list for now, and only of these 4 schools of magic. Now, what does that entail? All right. Let's scroll down just a little bit, because this is like the only thing I prepped for this whole thing. I'm just going to scroll down a couple 20-something pages. Welcome to the spell list. Anything in pink is a spell that bard keeps. So dancing lights, friends, mending, message. These are all spells that fit the requirements of spells that you can take. These are all spells on the arcane spell list, and they are in one of the 4 schools of magic. Let's bump over here. What's interesting over here? Oh, there are green spells. Green spells are spells that the bard didn't originally have. These are spells on the arcane spell list that fit the requirements of bard that they can now use. So that's Expeditious Retreat. That's Hex. What an interesting spell to give to a bard. Hex. Love that. No longer warlock specific. Interesting. The jump spell, now new to bards. Alter Self is cool. Dark Vision is cool. What else we got here? Levitate, Magic Weapon, Rope Trick, Spider Climb, Blink, Fly. Interesting spell to give to a bard. Gaseous Form, Haste, another great spell. Phantom Steed, wonderful spell. Water Breathing, Arcane Eye. All of these spells bard never had access to. Straight up never had access to. Control Water, Fabricate. Stone Shape, Stone Skin, which is a completely different spell now. Contact Other Plane. Creation, Pass Wall, list goes on. You know what? I'm going to shorten this conversation, and we're just going to look at this list, okay? This list over here shows us what spells are gained by the bard thanks to these new changes, which is a good number of spells. If you look over here, that's a good number of spells. Feel free to screenshot this if you want and do whatever you want. This is the list that I got. It's probably 99% right. I'm sure I missed a spell or 2 in there. I don't know. These are basically all the spells on the arcane spell list that bards now have access to thanks to the new requirements. Yes, you did see Disintegrate. That is exactly there. So is Control Weather. So is Shape Change. Time Stop. You know that one spell nobody ever casts? This one over here, they could do that too. Now, interesting point. There are spells that are lost by bard. This is basically all of the spells that bards can no longer cast because they don't exist on the arcane spell list, and or they are not in the 4 schools of magic that they're allowed to take. So they've lost, we can go back to this one. They lost Cure Wounds straight up. Did they lose Cure Wounds? Yeah, they lost Cure Wounds. Curious. They lost Fairy Fire, Dispel Magic, honestly they lost Tiny Hut? Dang, they lost Tiny Hut. Dimidor, they've lost. Mass Cure Wounds, they've lost. Raise Dead, they've lost. They could learn Raise Dead? Maybe, I don't know if they learn Raise Dead. Maybe. I didn't know that. They lost Force Cage, Mansion. Nobody ever uses this spell. They lost Resurrection. They lost Power Word Heal. Did they lose Power Word Heal? That's crazy. Maybe. Oh, Power Word Heal is probably not on the arcane spell list. Yeah, it's not. It's probably a divine primal spell. I see. They did lose Power Word Heal. Mind Blank, Prismatic Wall, all of Hero's Feast. These are all spells lost by bard. This many spells gained by bard. This many spells lost by bard. About an even break. I like this first list better than the spells they lost. I don't really care too much about a lot of these spells, but you know what? Magical Secrets comes in later. Doesn't matter. Spells retained. So we got to talk about, actually, before we talk about this, let's talk about this. Spells retained via school change. These are spells that have been changed into these schools, therefore are able to be taken or kept by the bard. Dancing Lights, Thunder Wave, Blindness, Deafness, Shatter, and Sending is now a divination spell. Wonderful to keep. Anyway, there's a whole list here. So that's the Bard spell list. And I'll keep that up for a little bit longer. We'll keep that up over there. But I do want to talk about things that have changed in spellcasting in general, because this is very important. This line in particular is important. But as you know, for prepared spells, when you finish a long rest, you could change out any of these prepared spells with any other spell. So you could change out your whole spell list on a long rest, which is wonderful, which is what a lot of casters could do before, but now bards can too. But if you notice here, you can prepare 0-level spells. So cantrips, even cantrips, can be prepared per day. So if you look at this list, dang, I'm going to scroll all the way down again, aren't I? If you look at this list, all of these cantrips right here, you could swap out per day. Actually, only these pink ones, but these are the pink ones that are owned by Bard. You could swap out any of these per day because cantrips now count as prepared spells. Ain't that wild? So that's the big change. They're a prepared spellcaster. These are the spells they can use, and now you can prepare cantrips, which is crazy. Spell slots hasn't changed. Spellcasting ability is still charisma. Spellcasting focus is exactly the same. Expertise kicks in at 2nd level. It hasn't changed at all. You gain expertise in 2 skill proficiency of your choice. If you want to be stereotypical, you can go performance or persuasion, but you can choose whatever you want. This is just a suggestion. They're going to do this suggestion thing a lot in this document. Moving on. Songs of Restoration, new ability that replaces Song of Rest because nobody cares about Song of Rest. You have learned how to use music, poetry, and dance to heal wounds and maladies. When you reach certain levels in this class, you can add a specific spell to your Songs of Restoration repertoire, as shown in the Songs of Restoration repertoire table. That's a tongue twister. So these are just spells that the Bard has. They're basically saying, hey, you're good at these spells, but you're also a healer. Don't forget that. So these 5 spells, Healing Word, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Freedom of Movement, or Greater Restoration, are spells that you will always, always, always have. The levels you get them at are kind of weird. 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th. I'm not going to question it, but it's not typical. A big loss, if you notice on this list over here, is Cure Wounds. So you're going to have to rely on Healing Word quite a bit, or your Healing Bardic Inspiration. Think about it. Healing on a reaction is really good. I don't know how else to say it. But let's keep going. The Bard subclass, again, you get a 3rd level, doesn't matter. We'll talk about that later. 4th level feat, again, same old, doesn't matter. Jack of all trades, well, this is just, it's not that it doesn't matter, it's just that we already know it does. 5th level Jack of all trades, this is something you can already do. So you can add half your proficiency bonus, round down to any ability check you make that uses a skill proficiency you lack that doesn't otherwise use a proficiency bonus. So this is the same as it used to be. You used to get this at 2nd level. I don't know why they bumped it to 5th. It doesn't really matter. This line in particular makes it so that it doesn't affect initiative. It used to affect initiative because initiative used to be an ability check. It used to be a dexterity. But it's not a skill. Initiative is not a skill, so you do not get the Jack of all trades bonus on your initiative anymore. This was a tiny, tiny nerf to this ability, and it was bumped back 3 levels. So, 6th level, again, subclass feature, typical. This feature used to be at 5th level, now it's 7th, which is so good. You get all of these back at a short rest. All your Bardic Inspirations back on a short rest, which is wonderful. Super good ability. I don't know why it's at 7th level now. Whatever. 2 levels isn't a big difference. The big change to it, though, kind of hiding on the 2nd page over here. In addition, if a creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die and gets a 1 after any rerolls you might have, that use of your Bardic Inspiration isn't expended. So that's pretty great. At this level, I'm pretty sure your Bardic Inspiration die is D8. So a 1 in 8 chance that they don't actually spend your Bardic die because they rolled a 1. And that's not inspiring enough. That's not inspiring to anybody. So they get to keep that you get to keep that Bardic Inspiration to use later. Unfortunately, you don't get your reaction back, which would kind of be the kicker, right? If you could use this, you roll a 1, your reaction is still expended, but you don't spend the Bardic Inspiration. 8th level of feat, 9th level comes in 1 level earlier. You get expertise 2 more. Subclass feature level 10. This is new. Again, big deal. Your subclasses will now have 4 features instead of 3. That is a significant thing. Now, here's where we just kind of throw all the rules out the window. Remember how I spent 5 minutes talking about the rules of spellcasting? Let's throw that out the window real quick because we're talking about bards, right? We're talking about bards. Magical secret at 11th level. You have collected magical knowledge from a wide spectrum of disciplines. Choose a spell list. Choose one of the 3. Whenever you prepare spells for this class, up to 2 of the spells you prepare can be from the chosen list and from any school of magic. So any 2 spells. from any spell list. That's all the spells. That's all the spells. So this is exactly like what it used to be, except now you can prepare different ones every single day. So your magical secrets aren't locked anymore. You can change them out every single day. The big thing about this, right? The big kicker about this is that you have to choose one of these 3 spell lists. So if you want to go primal, you can only choose 2 from primal. If you want to go divine, you can only choose 2 from divine. And you're stuck with that list forever. It's not that the spells are locked. So if you look at the divine list, right? The divine list is like, let me just scroll all the way down here. The divine list is like it's like a whole lot of spells. It's probably a ballpark of 70, 80 spells, right? And in theory, if you choose a divine spell list, you can magical secret any of these during your preparation, to any 2 of these during your preparation. But once you pick the divine spell list, you can no longer choose arcane, and you can no longer choose primal until later levels. So it is important which one you choose. Some people might go for arcane again, which seems counterintuitive, but this is the list that has where's that spell? Counterspell. This is the arcane is the list that has counterspell. So if you want to ever take counterspell as a magical secrets, you have to take, let's see, it's not in this list, right? Yeah, it's not on this list. So if you ever want to take counterspell as a magical secret, you have to choose the arcane spell list as your magical secret list. And then you can choose any of these other spells that you don't have access to. Your spell list would be smaller, but you do get one of the biggest magical secrets in the game, which is counterspell. Just a thought, think about it. Probably, in theory, it's way less limiting because you have access to like 70 spells depending on the list you choose. But you gotta choose wisely. That's all you gotta do. Anyway, 12th level feat expected, 14th level subclass feature expected, 15th level further magical secrets. So this is exactly like 11th level, but you get to choose a second list. So you get to choose 2 out of 3 of the lists to pull any 4 spells from, as long as 2 are from each list, if that makes sense. This comes 1 level later, as does this, which is an impressive list of spells. You have a crazy amount of spells you could take. It's the possibilities are mind-blowing. There's so much you could choose, and it only increases as the books come out. 16th level feat, naturally. 18th level superior Bardic Inspiration. This only improves just a little bit. Let me show you what it used to be, because what it used to be is garbage. Let me tell you that. At 20th level, when you roll initiative and you have no uses of Bardic Inspiration left, you regain 1 use. Wow. Thanks, level 20 Bard. Wow. Here, when you roll initiative, and it doesn't matter how many Bardic Inspirations you have, you regain 2 uses. Much better. Still kind of quaint. Honestly, still not the best, but definitely better than whatever this was, because nobody ever used this. If you're telling me you're level 20 and you ran out of Bardic Inspirations, that's your own fault. This here is just a little bit better, a little more practical, useful anywhere. Level 19 is a feat, as always, and level 20 is an epic boon. And again, you can look those up in the DMG. Any of those DMG boons you could probably pick up and take at level 20, which is cool, but not crazy. This is an example list that they give you of spells you can take. This is the list you give your friend if they don't know what to pick. The spells are good. Spells are decent. They're just suggestions, but they're fantastic. And that, I believe, is everything for the Bard except for the subclass. Let me scroll down to subclass, because we got to go over the College of Lore, which has changed significantly, because if you remember, every Bard subclass now has a 10th level feature. We're not going to read this flavor text. You can read it. You can pause here and read it if you'd like. There you go. Cool. Let's go to the 3rd level. You gain 3 skill proficiencies. Exactly the same. Perfect. Oh, wait. It has changed. I lied. You gain these 3 skill proficiencies, and if you already have them, then you can choose what you want. Interesting. So you can't just take any 3 you want. It has to be these 3. That's not the best, but it is thematic. It makes sense for the subclass to specify exactly these 3 for your source of knowledge. Interesting. So the more interesting thing, let's go here, is cutting words. Let's find out if this feature is just as good as it used to be. You learn how to use your wit to distract, confuse, or otherwise sap the confidence and competence of others. When a creature that you can see within 60 feet of yourself rolls on an ability check or an attack roll, damage roll is gone. Interesting. This is no longer present. You can use your reaction to expend a use, rolling a Bardic Inspiration die and subtracting the number made from the number rolled on the creature's roll, potentially turning it into a failure. And all of this text is basically gone. So basically, it doesn't matter if they can't hear you or if it's immune to being charmed. Cutting words still works. The caveat is that you can no longer reduce damage with this, which is, interesting. Well, in theory, that's a nerf, right? That's a nerf. Cunning Inspiration, 6th level. When any creature rolls your Bardic Inspiration die, the creature can roll the die twice and use a higher of the 2 rolls. Originally, you got more magical secrets. Well, this is gone. This is new. This is new, right? Yeah, this is new. It's not bad, but I kind of would prefer magical secrets more, if that makes sense. Yeah, in theory, right? In theory, you have access to a list of 70 spells plus a list of another 70 spells, right? So the new magical secrets is way better. But the reason a lot of people pick up the College of Lore is so that at 6th level, you can pick up 2 magical secrets of your choice, and you don't have to wait till 11th level, right? When does this kick in, right? 11th level now. So a lot of people don't even play to 11th level. If you want to get haste or fly or fireball or counterspell at 6th level, then you would play the original lore bard, and that was kind of the appeal, right? So this no longer has that. When you roll a Bardic Inspiration die, that creature can roll the die twice and use the higher of the 2 rolls. This is nice. It's good, but I mean, is it interesting? I'm sure everybody has their opinions on that. 10th level, improved cutting words. So this is the new feature. This is what would normally not exist. Whenever you use your cutting words feature on a creature, you can deal psychic damage to that creature equal to the number rolled in the Bardic Inspiration die, plus your charisma modifier. Honestly, that's good, I guess. That is good. That's like a d8 plus 4, 8 to 12 damage. That's a 10th level though, so actually that's not that big a deal. At 10th level, if you're dealing 8 damage on using cutting words, that's alright. It forces a concentration check too. Yeah. It's alright. And Peerless Skill. When you make an ability check and fail, expend 1 piece of Bardic Inspiration, roll the Bardic Inspiration, and add the number rolled to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. If its check still fails, the Bardic Inspiration is success. Oh, so this is like using a Bardic Inspiration on yourself. Crazy. What was it originally? When you make an ability check, you can expend 1 use of Bardic Inspiration, roll a Bardic Inspiration die. You can do so after you... Oh, so it's the same thing. I guess it has end fail here. This is new. But you save the Bardic Inspiration if you still fail, which is great. So it has been improved. Okay, so summary for College of Lore. This is worse because you can no longer choose the 3 skill proficiencies you want. This is strictly just a little bit worse because it can no longer reduce damage. This ability is, I believe it's a little bit worse, but this is actually really great. This is like advantage on your Bardic Inspiration die. This is actually a really good this is a fantastic feature. It's just not magical secrets, if you get where I'm coming from. Improved cutting words. It's good, but not too significant. Just a nice thing to have. And Imperialist skill is better than it used to be. I wouldn't call it a nerf. The only reason I'd call it a nerf is if you really liked choosing exactly what skills you wanted and you really liked magical secrets. Because that's what you chose College of Lore for before. There wasn't really much... Well, this was great. Basically, everything about College of Lore was fantastic before. And now, it's a little bit less talented, more generally good. That's my opinion on it. Cunning words can't be used on a creature already failing? Yes, I guess so. The DM has to confirm that the creature succeeded, and then you can use cutting words. That is an interesting point. Yeah, that actually is very good. It's very Silvery Barbsy in that aspect. That like if they succeed, then you can cutting words them. It makes it fantastic. Listen, mechanically, I don't think the College of Lore is weak. Not at all. I think the College of Lore is fantastic as a capable subclass. But is it like fun? I guess that's the word I've been looking for. I don't know if it's fun. And I believe that's everything for Bard. I think these changes, especially the changes to magical secrets, is very, very good. I think there's a lot of quality of life changes here. They have bumped back a lot of the significant features like Jack of all Trades, Fond of Bardic Inspiration, Magical Secrets, and further magical secrets all bumped backwards in exchange for getting expertise earlier at 2nd and 9th level. Is it worth it? That's entirely on you. And that's the Bard.